and welcome to another episode of India Today, India Tomorrow, where we cut across generations to bring you a slice of life and history. Today we are joined by another very special pair. Please welcome Bishan Bedi, the legendary former Indian cricketer, and his son Angad Bedi, now becoming a star in his own right in the world of Hindi cinema. Thank you both very much for joining us.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. It's a lovely introduction.
Let me
You're
also
being too
say,
kind, I have to say that.
not only are you saying too kind, but I must tell the father that before the interview, Angad told me, I don't know what I'm doing here. You know, here is this big star that you're interviewing, Bishan Bedi, my father, and here I am, an actor making his way in Hindi cinema. He seemed almost diffident or almost intimidated by your presence. You intimidate your son.
No, I hope not, because very recently...
That I hope
Somebody-
first.
no,
that
somebody-
I hope first got me slightly worried, actually.
Somebody asked me,
Yes.
you Angad's father, aren't you? I said, no, he's my son.
Yeah, I prefer it like that.
So finally, you mean finally there are people introducing Bishan Bedi as Angad Bedi's
That is the way I would like to be known.
father.
Yeah, Angad's father, yeah.
So it must be a source of great pride for you, because at one level, I presume you would have wanted him to become a left-arm spinner for India, because he was an under-15, under-19 cricketer. Is that,
Yes,
is that a regret that your son didn't follow your footsteps?
Not really. I've had no regrets in my life. Never. Honestly. This is, he was destined for the celluloid world, so be it. That's why I look at it. Because when it came to cricket, I'll be very honest. He thought being Bishan Bedi's son is good enough.
I should leave this interview right now. Because this is going... I told you,
No, seriously.
when it's going to begin, it's going down.
we
going
get
down
it.
south.
You know, look,
Relax.
No, Dad, you got to stop
look,
this.
No, but
there's
listen,
two things.
It was never... I never thought like that. I
Oh,
have
okay,
to... In my
listen.
defense, I never thought like
Okay,
that.
fine.
Okay.
Because you were not, he was not at all, when I say not at all, you know, hardworking in the sense.
Well, if
is-
somebody
is-
ran 36 rounds as a punishment...
that's no running. That's no.
Okay, hold on.
no.
Let me understand this. Let me understand this from Angad. Is it true that as a 12, 13-year-old, your father literally drove you to try and become a cricketer, and you almost rebelled against it? You mentioned 36 rounds. I've heard this story, that you came late once for a match, your father made you run 30 rounds or run from the ground at National Stadium all the way to Rashtrapati Bhavan.
With Captain Dogra on a bicycle piche.
No, what I.
So what did you do?
Listen,
Let me listen to this.
I was running with them.
No, you
Of
weren't.
course
No,
I
you
was.
weren't. So I'll tell you
Okay.
the story. It's a very
Yes.
interesting story. I remember it was a game in National Stadium. Now, obviously, it's called the Dhyan Chand Stadium. It was against the British High Commission. We used to play a lot of games against them. And he had declared lunch. So then I went to the canteen to, get myself a drink. And the canteen next to the opposite stadium was shut, so I had to go all the way to the other side where the pool was. So I went there. By the time I came back, he had started the game. Now, in my defense, it was declared lunch. The lunch didn't come on time. So then I went to have a drink, and by the time I got back, they were already in the game. And they had, like, the first over was being bowled. He spotted me from there. He said, "What are you doing?" And he yelled at me, and I just got startled. He said, "Okay, as a punishment, from here you're going to start running to Rashtrapati Bhavan, and then you're going to stride back." And then he had Captain Dogra at that time. He made him sit on a bicycle while the game was going on, and then he was behind me. So then I actually had to do it in a fraction of like 20 minutes. I have to go 7.5 kilometers. I remember 7.5 kilometers that run was.
No, it is-
So
And,
you had to run-
and I got back, and then and then the other punishment was that it was a 35 over game, I remember, in the month of June it was. And he didn't let me bowl. So I just was there.
You were a very hard taskmaster on your
No,
son. He
like-
was a 12, 13-year-old. You say that,
I don't think-
he thought that he had already arrived as Bishan Bedi's son.
No,
he wanted to play
let
the
me tell you
sport.
something. He was very good.
You were what, a left-arm
I
spinner?
was-
He was very good.
A left-arm
Yeah,
spinner.
he was very, as under 13, he was outstanding. Okay? When he played under 16, he was outstanding. And then, suddenly, he lost his head. Because, you see, when you're young, and I remember having told him when he left cricket for the films in Bombay, I told him, I said, your biggest misfortune is that you didn't have a father like mine, and you didn't have a coach like mine, who could, you know, put your ability together. But then again, you see, I don't really blame him. Now I can analyze it, because the youth in Delhi, okay, has always had a tendency to get carried away by the parental blessings.
No, but I can in a way identify with him.
Parental
because
blessings of
because
36
I,
hours
you know,
punishment.
my father was a test cricketer, and even if I scored a 50, it wasn't good enough because I was told that you've got to score 100. You know, if you come from a cricketing family or a sporting family, do you think it's easier or more difficult?
What I have always believed, that in any walk of life, if you want to excel, the word is excellence, because there's no way any human being could ever be perfect. Perfection is out, definitely out. Excellence, yes, you can work for it. That can only be achieved if you have a fair amount of obsession. जुनून मैं बोलता हूँ उसको. जुनून होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. And that जुनून, he apparently showed it in abundance when he appeared before the camera.
So did you not have the junoon? He used that word, the junoon, the drive to become a test cricketer. You played under 15, you played under 19, but according to him, somewhere down the way, you lost your way.
No, I just got tired. You know, when you do 30 rounds, then your body
Stop
gives way.
harping about it.
Then your body does give way. Like by the time I would reach the nets, my legs would get tired. You know, then he said you lose control over the ball. Then your delivery style. Yes, you know, there are things that when you are growing up, you know, I'll tell you, he said at 13 I was good. Thanks, Dad. That's the first ever time you said you paid me a compliment. I actually am pretty glad about it.
I said you're very good. You're very good.
But I'll tell you what. So I shot up in height. I remember because I have very, you know, strong etched memories of my under 16, under 19 days. So I think around 14 I started off well. I played a game against Himachal. I remember on debut I got 8 wickets. It was the Vijay Merchant Trophy. 3-day game it used to be. 3-4, and if you went into the knockouts, the games used to be for 4 days. And after that, you know, my delivery stride became big. You know, so then I was corrected for that, and then I became slightly more side on.
He had a very good bowling action, I'm telling you. But I had also told him, I said, look, you are playing for an organization which is going to pounce on you, given half an opportunity.
Which is
what they couldn't do to me, they'll try and do it to you. So this is where he was affected also.
Were you luckier growing up in Amritsar? Did you have the same pressure that he had? Was your father as demanding as you were with him?
No.
Would your father make you run 30 rounds if you came 5 minutes late to a game?
I wasn't. No, my father never saw me play.
He never saw you play?
No. In fact, I used to tell him, come to Delhi and see the test match. He said, no, I listen to commentary. He never saw me play.
So what drove you to the game of cricket in the 50s and 60s? I believe as a 12-year-old, you were already bowling 5 and 6 hours. You played Ranji Trophy at 15 or 16, and you were playing for India at 21.
Yes, well, I think I was very lucky. I got the breaks at the right time. And
but where did this junoon come from? Where did the junoon come from?
I don't know. I think sheer providence, honestly.
Nobody in your family was playing this sport?
No.
And you were the youngest, I think, you had 3 elder sisters?
4.
4 elder sisters.
I was the youngest, and
you must have been the pampered child
I wasn't.
of Amritsar?
I wasn't. But I took up this game, because I was a very chubby little kid, to get fit.
To lose weight?
To lose weight. That's all.
Then you should have been a fast bowler, not a spinner.
I used to bowl quick.
Really?
I used to bowl quick left arm. You know? And then suddenly my Amritsar Gymkhana captain, he said, no, you're not cut out for fast bowling. See if you can take up spin. I said, okay. I tried, and he was mighty impressed. But my coach in Amritsar, Gyan Prakash, okay, that was, I tell you, he was the most outstanding human being I've ever met. Gyan Prakash, and my father's name was Gyan Singh. So I had a lot of Gyan from both of them. You know? It was wonderful. He never told me what to do, never ever.
Where did your action come? This classical action which the world celebrated, was it something that you saw someone bowling?
No.
Did you see a film?
No, it just happened. I never. Okay, I might have modeled myself on. But after many years, I read Hedley Verity's book and saw his bowling action. I might have modeled it in quite
Subconsciously.
inadvertently, But my favorite bowler at that time was Subhash Gupte.
The great leg spinner.
Yeah, because I remember the real Josh in me came around when I heard Subhash Gupta picking up 9 wickets against West Indies in Kanpur.
Again on radio, presumably, not on TV.
No, on radio, no TV at all.
So you heard about Subhash Gupta
Yeah.
taking 9 wickets against the West Indies in
Kanpur.
58-59 on radio,
Yeah.
and you suddenly decided you wanted to be
No,
a
I
spinner.
suddenly decided this is that is why when it became a bit of a junoon, chalo karte hain. And there was nothing else to do in Amritsar, nothing else to do. I promise you. And I remember the only entertainment I can think of at that time was on Wednesdays when we used to listen to Binaka Geetmala, Amin Shahani. 16 of those week's best songs. And I saw my first film in a theatre when I was good 19 and a half. I had never seen a film.
You remember the film?
I think it was Jis Desh Mein Ganga Behti.
Jis Desh Mein Ganga Behti at
Raj
19 and a half
Yes.
was your first film. You must have seen your first film
When
when
he was born.
you were born virtually.
In
I
the-
mean,
in the
He was born in a
theatre.
theatre.
In
you
the-
were born in an operation theatre.
in the operation theatre.
But
But
presumably.
I'll tell you,
Yes.
the reason also for me having this passion for cinema is through him.
Through me?
Yes,
Oh,
he
how?
used to. Obviously, he's a big Dilip Saab fan. And my cousin, from his side, in Defence Colony, used to run a VHS shop. So he used to take me there when we used to stay in Panchil Enclave every second day. And he used to also want to watch what he used to want to watch. So he used to take his film, and then I used to take Mr. Bachchan films.
Okay.
And that's how the whole journey began.
So are you saying that from a young age you always preferred cinema over cricket? It was only your father forcing you onto the
No,
Maidan?
no, I'll
Left
tell you
to
what.
yourself, you would rather sit and watch a film in that VHS shop?
So I was a 7-year-old, and we had just moved to the farm.
Yeah.
In 91?
91.
Yeah, 91. And in the garden, he took me one day, and there was a ball lying there. He said, throw the ball. He said, figure it out how you want to throw it. So I picked it up I have this memory, I picked it up from my left arm, and I rolled it, and I threw it. And then he saw. He didn't say anything. He said, and I realized much later when I remember the first ever time I went to National Stadium, there were all these young kids used to run up to him and come up to him, and used to always, especially the bowlers, he used to make them bowl leg break. For a right arm person, the leg break, and for a left-hander, the Chinaman.
Right.
Now the reason being, I remember very clearly, he said, because if you're bowling a leg break, you cannot bend your elbow. So your arm will always be straight when you have to bowl the delivery.
Right.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was a practice.
I didn't realize.
So which he used to make me do. So when I started off, he used to make me bowl the Chinaman.
Right.
He said your muscles and your bones will get stronger, and you will not have an issue of bending it, because so then he used to make me bowl from 10 yards. He said you will not bowl 22 yards. He said you will run up there from 10 yards, you will start bowling. Then he got me accustomed to 12 yards, then 15 yards. Then slowly he got me to the 22-yard thing. And then once I was accustomed, then he said, now try.
But did you want to be a cricketer, or did you
I
want
used
to
to
be
find-
a cinema star like
when-
Amitabh Bachchan? Did you want to be a cricketer like Bishan Singh Bedi, or had those VHS films inspired you enough to say, I want to be a film star like Amitabh Bachchan?
When I played, when I was 13, I had seen a lot of Mr. Bachchan films till then. I used to see his films, actually repeat them, at least 4 or 5 times, because I used to be fascinated by this personality. Because this is the way he ran, the way
How
he
did I
was.
miss out on all this? I don't know.
And then I used to go to the ground, and I used to enjoy the process of bowling, but by the time I used to reach the process of bowling, I used to be exhausted. Because for him, physical conditioning was the most important thing.
So cricket was punishment and cinema was entertainment. Right? Cinema was your way of getting away from all those hours of torture that he would put you in.
No, but he used to have a great way of making me train in the day. Then he used to sit and watch the film with me also. So I used to really value that. And in fact, today, had I not gone through that grind, sir, of training and even those punishments, like he used to always say, he said that if I have to set an example, for me I have to punish you first. Because you are as good as anybody else. If I'm training other people's children, I should not be favoring you. So I have to set an example. So I should not understand that. But today, I have though I'm working in the film industry, it's the best industry for me to work in, but it's also the toughest profession. I feel it's even tougher than any sport. Because here, it's like each man to themselves, and only if you have a great sportsman spirit will you be able to survive here.
Retake, he can do retakes. He can make himself look good on a cricket field, or in a sports field. In any sport, the margin between victory and defeat is very, very thin.
I believe excellence, whether in sport or in any walk of life, you've got to really work for it. And excellence doesn't come, the flip of a coin. No. That is my way of looking at it. And I have to go back to his younger days. He wasn't a terribly good student of the game. I dare say he's not a terribly good student of film industry also, because he doesn't read much. What is happening in front of the camera, he must know what is happening behind the camera also. That is my personal urge, that he should, now that he is in the film industry, he should know everything about production from direction.
He should know the history of cinema.
Yeah, of course, he must read.
But that's because Bishan Singh Bedi knew the history of cricket. The son must know the history of cinema. Are you being, again, unfair to your son?
No, I'm not being unfair. This is my urge. It is his life.
Is that how you saw yourself as a cricketer? Not just someone who bowled, but
today,
someone who saw himself as part of this great tradition of the sport, and therefore you sort of embraced and soaked in the traditions of the sport. You're a traditionalist, a classicist.
Agreed. I'm still a good student of the game. Still, I read a lot about the game.
Which is why you don't like the IPL.
Oh, IPL is rotten, absolute rotten.
But I'm told, Angad tells me every night you were watching the IPL games.
I do.
Listen, he watches most of the games.
In the final analysis, it's a game of cricket. I may not like the ambience of it all, but I'm watching cricket.
But I've asked you this before. If you were, if this, turn the clock back to 30 years, and you were, let's say, there was the IPL in the 1970s.
No,
and suppose your name was auctioned, Bishan Singh Bedi, 10 crores, Delhi Daredevils.
Bishan Bedi would have never been auctioned. Let me show you that.
You would have never been auctioned.
No.
So you wouldn't have played the IPL.
No, not at all.
You're certain of that.
Absolutely. Number one, I don't quite like the way it's going on. But also, listen, one of the reasons why I used to work very hard with the youngsters, I was a terrible athlete myself. Terrible, honestly. And I wanted these kids to, at least as far as athleticism is concerned, they should excel there. And when it's time to excel in skills, if you're a good athlete, you can be a very skillful footballer or a hockey player or a cricketer. But the first and foremost thing is to be a good athlete, which we weren't told, honestly.
You were the ultimate rebel. In my book, I call you in the 1970s akin to a George Fernandez, the sort of rebel of Indian sport in those days, in that day and age. To that extent, you believe this generation is much less rebellious. You were a natural rebel.
Listen, I wasn't a rebel. I wasn't
you
a
are,
rebel.
he is,
Yeah, let's get it.
I wasn't a rebel.
He said you still are a rebel. At 72, you're still a rebel. You're the angry young rebel.
No, I'm not. Let me show you this. I could stand up and take a stand, on any issue which concerned cricket and the team I was involved in. I wasn't going to sit quiet. That was my temperament. I remember as a little kid, must have been 13, I first came from Amritsar to Delhi. And we were sitting in the stupid old long room in DDCA then, waiting for somebody. I arrived in the morning. There's nobody to tell me what time we have to take the train in the evening from Madras. And eventually, the big man of DDCA, R.P. Mehra, he arrives. And I was sitting on my trunk. I remember that. Lohe ka trunk tha wo. When he arrived, so I just stood up and I, folded my hand. I said, Namaste, Shahji, like this, And Shahji, he had a fag in his, and he looked at me like this and nodded his head. I was only a kid. And I thought, surely this man could have, said, "Aha, bhai, bache kya haal hai, kaise ho?" No.
You were already a test cricketer?
No, I was 13.
You were 13.
I was playing for schools, northern schools. At the age of 13, when I saw this man behaving like, he was Mr. Cricket of Delhi, of North Zone then, I said, Bishan Singh Bedi, you will not wish this man again.
So basically, your anger against officials began as a 13-year-old.
No, not anger against. My anger was that he doesn't even know how to respond to a greeting from a young kid.
Are you still as angry as ever?
Cricket for me is not just a sport with.
It's a religion.
No, it's a way of life. It's more than religion. It's how you live it. Cricket is not played with wood and leather. It's you live it.
It's like someone, the great Liverpool coach who once said, football is not just life and death. It's much more.
It is. It is. How you carry yourself. Cricket is all about honesty, integrity, uprightness. And if I was found wanting on any of these issues, I would own it up. But if I have taken up a stand against the board officials or against some of the officials in England or in Australia, no.
No regrets for all those tussles that you had in the 1970s with the board officials?
No, none whatsoever.
All through your life, one of your big ambitions, Bishan Bedi, was to defeat Mumbai in cricket matches. And look at what has happened after all these years. Your son has gone and settled in Mumbai in the Bollywood industry.
That's right. Yeah, I tell you, we used to call Bombay enemy territory.
Bombay was enemy territory. He's gone into enemy territory.
And he's made a house there. But this is pure and simple fate and destiny, nothing else. I've always envied the cricket culture in Bombay. Because Delhi is terrible as far as cricket is concerned. And I used to look up to Bombay with a fair amount of zeal and envy. That if they can do it, why can't we be consistent?
That's it on this very special show. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.